So Turkey says it is in favour of a ground operation but doesn't want to do it alone. So far, no other countries look to be even considering the possibility of signing up to such an operation, so it still appears to be something of a non-starter. The Kurds that are defending Kobani behind me, they say they don't want Turkish troops to roll across the border. What they want is for the Turkish government to open the border so that they can resupply their troops with ammunition, new fighters, and only then they believe they would have the ability to hold on to this city for a bit longer, if that comes along with greater air support from the United States and its allies. Christy.
You know, Phil, it's extraordinary. Those Turkish tanks are right there at the border, not far from where you are, but they're not moving in. And that blunt language from Washington is seeming to suggest that the fall of Kobani is inevitable. So when Kobani falls to ISIS, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to ISIS? And what will happen to the people inside Kobani who didn't have time, who didn't manage to escape?
Well, those people that are in the city now, they say there will be a massacre. That's the sort of language they're using to try and pressure the United States to help out more, to do more with those airstrikes. They believe that all the fighters that remain, and some civilians too, we are told, will be killed. And it is quite horrific perhaps to imagine just how or just what could take place in that event, given the brutality that we've seen from ISIS up until this point. It is not nice to consider how the Kurdish population here in Turkey and other regions will react in the event that that is allowed to happen, because they already feel to a significant degree as if they have been betrayed, forgotten about by Turkey, by the international community. They don't believe they're getting the help they want. And for ISIS, it'll mean that they have successfully claimed a wide swathe of new territory at a time when an international operation led by the United States claims to be degrading their capabilities. So it's a powerful message from ISIS in the event that that takes place. But the United States, in their blunt language recently, has been saying we're not concerned necessarily about individual cities or territory that ISIS is claiming. They're taking the bigger picture view. It is about resources, infrastructure, command and control, the things that allow ISIS to continue to function on the scale that it is now. They believe that if they erode those over time, then the sort of advances that we're seeing behind us will not be sustainable for ISIS. Christy.
Kobani is on the brink, and so many lives there are at stake here. Phil Black reporting live from the Syrian-Turkish border. Many thanks indeed for that update. U.S. officials, they tell CNN that their primary goal is to beat back ISIS in Iraq and then go after its leadership and then its resources in Syria. Now, to do that, the Pentagon says airstrikes alone are not enough. They need help from ground forces like the Iraqi army and the Kurdish Peshmerga. One group that could play an important role is the Sunni awakening that proved so pivotal in Iraq several years ago. CNN's Ben Wiedemann has more.
If the ISIS tide in Iraq is to be turned, it's men like these Sunni tribal fighters in Anbar province who will be key. They're members of the so-called Sunni awakening, or the Sahwat as they're known in Arabic. They played a critical role during the American surge to crush the insurgency. Paid and armed by the United States, they fought and temporarily subdued Al-Qaeda in Iraq. But when the Americans left in late 2011, support from the Baghdad government dried up, and many have since gone over to ISIS. Sheikh Wissam al-Hardan is the leader of what's left of the Sunni awakening. We were at our height during the American presence, he recalls, but when the Americans left, responsibility for the Sunni awakening passed to the Iraqi army. We had 103,000 men, but that number evaporated to just 34,000. Sheikh Wissam has escaped repeated attempts on his life by his many opponents. He concedes in his native Anbar province, active ISIS opponents are now in the minority. Most of the tribes have moved away from the Sunni awakening, he says. They're afraid to confront ISIS. If they say they're with us, they and their homes will be targeted. Most of the tribes are sitting on the fence. Or have sided with ISIS, which was quick to post pictures on the internet of tribal leaders in Anbar swearing allegiance to the Islamic State. ISIS now controls most of Anbar. Sunni Awakening members are caught between a rock and a very hard place, underscored by this chilling video in which ISIS militants, dressed as Iraqi soldiers, break into the home of a local leader. They're forced to dig their graves, but not before he gives this statement under obvious duress. I advise anyone in the Sunni Awakening, he says, to give themselves up and stop their work. Their work, however, could make the difference between success and catastrophe in Iraq. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Baghdad.
You're watching CNN News Stream, and coming up next, a change of heart in Hong Kong.